spotting autism in your marriage is a lot harder than most people think. And the reason is that the hidden signs almost never look like autism. They look like a personality quirk, a communication gap, or just the way he is. In this video, we're going to walk through the 4 real signs that show up inside a marriage, not from a clinical checklist, but from 23 years of figuring out the hard way. So stick around, because one of these is something Lori completely misread for years. I getting it wrong nearly convinced her our marriage was the problem.
It really can. And I want to be clear from the start. This isn't about slapping a label on someone or assigning blame. It's about finally understanding what's been happening beneath the surface so you can stop taking personally what was never personal to begin with.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan. I'm on the autistic spectrum, and I've been married to this woman for 23 years, which means we are either very committed or just very stubborn.
Or both. The answer is both. I'm Lori, his wife, and I have ADHD. So between the two of us, we are basically a live experiment on how differently two brains can still build a life together. Everything we share comes from our own experience.
We're not therapists or counselors. We're just two people who had to learn all of this the hard way, and we are telling you what actually helped. But if things just feel consistently off in ways you can't quite name, you're in the right place. Now, the first hidden sign is literal communication. And I'm starting here because it caused real confusion before either of us understood what was happening. I process language the way it's actually delivered. If you say something, I take it at face value. So like sarcasm, implied meanings, reading between the lines, those aren't automatic for me. I've had to work to decode them, and sometimes I don't catch them at all. That isn't immaturity or fragility, it's just how my brain handles words.
And here's the thing, Ryan is exceptionally smart. So early on, when he did respond to something completely literal, I genuinely thought, how does someone so intelligent miss what's obviously meant? There's a perfect example from when we were dating. I teased him the way I tease my friends, totally lighthearted, nothing mean. And instead of laughing, he responded like I genuinely hurt him. I thought, why is he so sensitive? But he wasn't being sensitive. He heard exactly what I said and took it at face value.
From my end, I didn't know it was a joke. It registered as a statement, so I responded to it as one. Lori also mentioned once, just in passing, that I tend to say things 3 times. She wasn't critical, but I took it as criticism and shut down. Neither of us had the framework to understand what had just happened, so if your spouse takes things very literally, gets unexpectedly stung by teasing, or misuses sarcasm, that's not them being difficult. They're just running different communication software. And that ties directly into something we made for you. If I said one thing and you heard something else completely different via a regular event in your house, we put together a free guide called What I Mean versus What You'd Hear, a translation guide for couples. It gives you actual language to close that gap. The link is below in the description.
That guide is basically the thing I wish someone had handed to us way before our honeymoon.
The second sign is difficulty in social situations, but not in the obvious way people picture. In group settings, family gatherings, parties, everyone talking and joking over each other, I genuinely struggle to track the thread. I couldn't always tell who was being serious and who wasn't. I'd laugh at the wrong moment, but usually not at all. From the outside, I'm sure that looked aloof.
I honestly just thought he was extremely introverted, maybe a little standoffish, to the point that I couldn't even tell that he was into me in the beginning. But here's what I really misread. At family gatherings, his go-to move was to find a chore or hang off to the side, entertaining the little kids. And I thought it was the sweetest thing. He's helpful and he's good with children, which is true, but also babysitting a 3-year-old is a lot lower pressure than a room full of adults having multi-layered conversations.
That is so accurate, and I won't pretend otherwise. It was a completely deliberate escape strategy, and it worked beautifully. The sign here isn't just disliking social events. It's exhaustion that seems out of proportion, trouble keeping up with fast group conversation, and finding one safe, low-pressure corner of the room and staying there. That's not rudeness, that's just a nervous system navigating its load.
The third sign is a strong need for routine and predictability. And this is one I misunderstood for the longest. Schedule changes are genuinely hard for Ryan. Even ordering off a menu takes him longer than most people. And when plans change last minute, he can go quiet and rigid, like in a shutdown. And if I press the issue, I would see an unexpected snapback. And for years, I read this as sulking or selfishness or him needing everything his way. Even the word narcissism crept into my head. I'll be honest, at one point I genuinely wondered if his need for control was going to be the thing that broke us. I'm saying that out loud because I think a lot of you have had the exact thought. And what I didn't understand was that it was never about control. It was about anxiety.
Now that's the key piece. It took me a long time to see it for myself. When I was younger, I'd have described most of my existence as an effort to avoid anxiety, planning everything, sticking to what I already knew I liked, resisting change. All of it was anxiety management. Earlier in our marriage, I just wanted to vacation at the same spot in the mountains every year. I knew I liked it, so why reevaluate it? Lori talked me into a road trip to the West Coast, and I'm really glad that she did, but it took convincing. And one thing that genuinely helps is when she gives me the reasoning, not it doesn't feel right, but the actual logic. My brain needs the details to settle.
Using AI has been surprisingly useful for that because I can finally lay out my perspective with all the details in a way that his brain can actually accept. I joked that I have to file a legal brief just to change our dinner plans.
But once we understood the routine was about regulating anxiety, not dominating one another, everything changed. Watch for distress around unpredictability that seems disproportionate, a strong pull towards sameness, and shutdowns, not tantrums, when plans fall apart. The fourth sign is sensory overwhelm, and it hides in plain sight because it shows up in ordinary daily life. I greatly dislike loud noises, which is challenging in a house full of children. I'm sensitive to light, so I wear sunglasses outside even when it's not that bright, because otherwise it's genuinely uncomfortable. And I love cycling, but I really don't like road riding because I'm on the road with cars speeding past me at unexpected intervals. Those aren't preferences. The input simply registers more intensely for me.
And here's the part I didn't connect for years. It runs in both directions, right? And is also very sensitive to touch in a good way, where physical closeness is deeply meaningful to him. Once I understood that he feels everything more intensely, the bad stuff hits harder, but the good stuff feels better too. A lot of our relationships suddenly made sense. He wasn't being demanding. His whole sensory world is just turned up. Sometimes the over planning and understanding what is expected is a strategy to manage his sensory needs. Because of me, he now likes to travel and explore, but I have also seen him literally shaking in the airports, especially if something unexpected or unorganized happens.
That's a really accurate way of putting it. Watch for a spouse who seems unusually affected by noise, light, texture, or crowds, or who craves very specific kinds of input. Both are the same picture. And sensory overwhelm is one of the biggest triggers for shutdown. So if shutdown happens in your relationship, one of you goes quiet or withdraws and the other has no idea what to do, we have a free resource for exactly that moment. It's called the Shutdown Recovery Script, and it gives you the exact words to use when one of you gets overwhelmed. The link is below. So those are 4 hidden signs. None of these mean something is wrong with your marriage. They mean you might finally have the right map for territory you've been navigating blind. And there are more signs we didn't get to today, including the one that looked exactly like love at first, and the one that was by far the most painful for Lori to misunderstand. We're covering those in another video coming soon, so make sure you've subscribed so you don't miss it.
So tell us in the comments which of these 4, literal communications, social exhaustion, the need for routine or sensory overwhelm, made you stop and think. The more we name these patterns out loud, the more couples realize they're not alone in them.
One more thing before we point you to what to watch next. If you can see some of these patterns, but you're not sure which one is causing the most friction between you, we built a free quiz for exactly that. It's called the Relationship Friction Quiz. A couple of minutes and it pinpoints your main pattern and sends you a free, short, customized guide. Works for any couple, neurodivergent or not. Link is in the description. Now that you can spot these signs, you're probably wondering what they actually look like day to day and how 2 people navigating them long term without losing the marriage in the process. That's exactly what we break down in this video right here. So go watch that one next, because when you pair what you just learned with what's in this video, the whole picture gets a whole lot clearer and a whole lot more useful.
Thanks for watching, and remember,
Even neurodivergent couples can make relationships work.